when Suno generates a song, they have to come up with tempo, rhythm, melodies, instruments, how the instruments sound, the melodies of the vocals, the tone. All those decisions have to be made like that, just in an instant. And so you just have to ask yourself, what is the likelihood that Suno will make all of the right decisions, or at the very least, original decisions on all fronts in one render? If you don't have a trained ear, then you're very likely to hear and say, oh, well, that's good enough. It's music, it sounds good to me. But what's funny is that at the same time, what I've noticed is a lot of people who listen to music but don't know anything about music can still kind of pick up if something sounds, for lack of a better word, complex and well thought through versus something that's just kind of slop. Just like how someone who likes watching a show can tell when a show is kind of just, bottom of the barrel slop, and when a show is like, whoa, this is a really intellectual show and I'm really into it, there's so much going on. You might not know how to make a show, but you can kind of tell something's off. And that's what exactly is the problem with any AI generation or AI song generative platforms. Because first of all, the people who don't have an ear are the ones that are going to want to use this software. But the people who don't have the ear, so this group of people also won't generate music that is going to stand out enough to stand on its two legs for people who like music but don't really know music, which is the majority of people out there. So it's kind of a doomed loop. I know that's probably a little confusing, so just to kind of say that again. If you're using Suno, chances are it's because of your own lack of ability as a producer. Because for me, I would lose time and the quality would be worse if I used AI versus if I just sat down for like 30 minutes to an hour, opened up Ableton and made a song from scratch, literally. And that might sound crazy and people might think I'm like giving myself too much credit, but the truth is coming up with melodies, coming up with rhythms, at least to the surface value that Suno does, is pretty easy. You can make something sound nice by following pretty general guidelines. So you don't need Suno in that AI department, or you don't need Suno for that. You can just do that on your own. And then your own experience as a musician can come in and give it that personality, that uniqueness, because you are generating with your brain instead of some generic algorithm that everyone has access to. So if you're using Suno, it's a skill issue. But at the same time, the software you're using, if you have this skill issue, is going to be rendering with credits, right? Nothing's free, so you have to pay for each render. And each render will need to render just the right rhythm, melodies, and orchestration for the song to stand out. And that's exactly the problem, because the likelihood of every planet lining up and for the melody, and just imagine one section like a verse, the melody of the vocal, the sound design of the instruments, the way the drums sound, all of it sounding good, being creative and unique is already really rare. Chances are at least half of the things in that section are going to sound too generic or boring or made by AI. Now, imagine the fact that songs have multiple of these sections. You see what I mean? So you're going to have to use an insane amount of credits and type long prompts that cover every angle and hope that the AI isn't dumb enough to still mess it up, which it does. Just because you have a long detailed prompt doesn't mean the AI is going to follow it to a T. So you are literally better off just learning how to make music for free. In fact, there's so many free resources out there. It's honestly sad to cut that corner and to refuse to learn these different dimensions of music. And honestly, you're just depriving yourself of the whole purpose. Like, you're making music to enjoy the vibe, create a vibe. It's your vibe. You're not here to be some like middleman of music that generates it with a button and then tries to find its audience and like, oh yeah, we're making money now. We're in the middle of it. That's why it's naturally so frowned upon. That's why people naturally have a knee jerk reaction. They automatically hate AI, and it's only going to grow this hate. Like, AI is going to bring the humans closer together because even if you're a supporter of it, you're going to see that it only leads to us merging into these machines, and that's not what being a human is. We're human beings, we're not machines at the end of the day. So, yeah, I genuinely don't think this whole AI generation stuff has any leg to stand on. I think it's a fad. It's triggering people, so it's a trend that's going to keep going for a little while because it's like, you know, fueled by hate and all this controversy. But I see it all the time. I'm like scrolling down Instagram, and I'll see an ad for a song and like it's so obviously AI generated. And I'm just like, ew, and I'm not the only one that has this reaction. So instead of doing that, why don't you make bad music, but at least you made it and you put your personality behind it? And I guarantee you're going to have a whole lot more people that are like, cool, that's this person's vibe. At least it's a real human. Like the bar has gone so low now. It's like, oh, well, at least it's a human that made it. So I guess I'll listen to it. So to kind of close things off, I'd say it's this illusion of quality that's so dangerous about Suno and any AI song generating software, because to an untrained ear, once you get this render, you're like, literally the first one will probably do, or you'll have like one or two criticisms about it, like, oh, I don't like this part of the vocal, but everything else sounds good, so let's just regenerate and like stitch them together. But if you have an ear, if you have a trained ear and you listen to it, you're going to hear how, yeah, this is super generic and boring. This doesn't stand out. And all AI is unfortunately doing in terms of music is raising the bar. Like now, a whole bunch of pretty boring songs are just going to be obsolete because they're too easily producible. You see what I mean? So now it's harder to make music that people are going to listen to. And that sucks. That's like another reason to hate AI. And this is why there's such a big movement against it. And it's never been easier to learn the fundamentals of music. You can get your hands on some kind of music software like Ableton for really cheap. If you get the top best software I know on this planet for music production, it's about $600, which is a lot of money, but there's so many free alternatives, and it's a one-time purchase, $600, and you own literally one of, if not the best music production software on this planet. Then you can learn everything from YouTube for free. And just with those two things, you could make amazing, unique songs and build a fan base. So, yeah, Suno sucks. That's the conclusion.